Hi, this is the Eddie and Easy Show. I'm Eddie.
I'm Easy.
And we have a nice program for you today. Week three. Came so quick, didn't it?
Yeah, it feels like yesterday that was week 1.
Yeah, I know. Now, hey, we're back after taking a week off. We've got to recharge the batteries. It's been a season full of surprises so far. And guess what? We don't think we're done being surprised.
Upsets have been plentiful and action has been down to the wire. So stick around as we try to figure out how it all comes around.
We've got our mic ready. We cleared our throats and we made our picks. Adjust that helmet.
Straighten out those shoulder pads.
And lace up those cleats because we are a go. Now, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or EDS, is a group of inherited disorders that affect your connective tissues, primarily your skin, joints, and blood vessel walls. Connective tissue is a complex mixture of proteins and other substances that provide strength and elasticity to the underlying structures in your body. People who have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome usually have over-flexible joints and stretchy, fragile skin. This can become a problem if you have to have a wound that requires stitches because the skin often isn't strong enough to hold them. It can cause intense pain and dislocation and subluxations of joints. EDS can lead to a whole host of medical issues. Sometimes it can even lead to death.
We've all have been diagnosed with the disease and we know how it impacts those who suffer with it. Since very little is known about Ehlers-Danlos, we here on the Eddie and Easy Show have dedicated ourselves to raising awareness about the disease.
All right. So let's get started. Time to what? Get the Jobdone. Hello, Chicago. Hello, Baltimore. Hello,
Minnesota.
Hello, Miami. Hello,
Cleveland.
Hello, San Francisco. Hello,
Pittsburgh.
Hello, Washington, D.C. and Seattle and can't think of any more right now. All right, Kansas City, here we come. All right. All right, so now we get started with our picks. So let's get it all started right now, all right? So the first game we have on tap is Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. I'm going to let you make the first pick. Who do you pick in this game? That's tonight's game, Thursday night's game between the Buccaneers and the Falcons. Who did you pick?
I am picking Atlanta.
Why?
Because I think that Matt Ryan, especially with his week 1 performance, and I think that his momentum is still carrying forward. You also have Julio Jones, then you got Roddy White, and you got Jacquizz Rodgers. Mm-hmm. He's developed into not just a scat back, but he's also developing into carrying the load, also with Steven Jackson. Mm-hmm. But the one weak point in the Atlanta Falcons I saw was their left side, the weak side in the D-line, where it looked like they had him with Giovanni Bernard, but at the last second, he just slipped through.
Well, some of that can be attributed to Giovanni Bernard's, open field, running ability.
Yeah, but the Atlanta defense from what I saw from the game, they have a strong, middle defensive line where
up the gut.
Yeah, from what I saw, they got nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So when I look at this game, I pick Atlanta, and I guess I can say there are 3 reasons why I pick Atlanta. Number 1, Atlanta is at home. They're hard to beat at home. Number 2, Doug Martin is out of the game for Tampa Bay, more than likely, and so I don't think you can win on the road without a very good running game. Rainey's okay, but he's no Doug Martin. And 3, I believe Gerald McCoy has broke his hand.
Yeah,
so,
Mike Evans gone also.
Yeah, so they're pretty banged up to play. You know, they're playing Tampa Bay is playing a short week on the road, and they're banged up. I just think that's a little bit too much to overcome. And offensively, even with Mike Evans, they just didn't seem like a whole lot to write home about. So now we come to the next game, Sunday's game at 1:00. That pits the Chargers versus the Buffalo Bills. Now, who did you pick for? Well, I tell you what, I'll go first this time. I picked Buffalo. I just think that Buffalo has done an exceptional job of allowing E.J. Manuel to manage the game. Watkins looks like the next great, young wide receiver. That running game with Jackson and Spiller is just, lights out. And their defensive line, it's monstrous. They played some very good football. They're at home, but don't get me wrong, San Diego did a wonderful job of beating the Seattle Seahawks last week. Personally going into that game, I would have picked the Seahawks to win. They did a good job of finding Antonio Rodgers. They actually went at Richard Sherman enough to move the chains. No explosive plays, but that's what you want to do with a Richard Sherman. You want to go at him just enough to move the chains if you can, and they did. And so I look at this game coming down to home field advantage, and I give the nod to the Buffalo Bills because they are playing good football. It's not that other teams are lucking, that they're getting lucky. I think they're actually playing very good football. So I give the edge to the Buffalo Bills. Who do you go with in this game?
I go with San Diego.
All right.
And the reason is, I think the Chargers looked like they were the real deal last week. Mm-hmm. And to come off that momentum of beating the Super Bowl champs last year, mm-hmm. It's one thing to like get a playoff team.
Right.
That's good, but it only goes so far.
Yeah.
But with the Super Bowl champions, and you got Antonio Gates.
Mm-hmm. Playing good football, yeah.
Sometimes he looks like he's starting to get old, but last week,
he
no.
did not look old at all.
3 touchdowns, one one-handed catch.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. I think that they have the right tools. I think Ryan Matthews can do them. I think Ryan Matthews...
I don't know. I think Ryan Matthews out.
Yes?
Yeah, that game. I think they're down to Donald Brown and Danny Woodhead.
Oh.
I still think that's a pretty good...
I think that even with the loss of Ryan Matthews, I still think that they can still do it.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. This wasn't an easy pick for me to make.
Yeah.
I just give a slight edge to the Buffalo Bills in this game. It just feels like Buffalo is doing the things they're supposed to do in order to win. Not putting too much pressure on Manuel, letting the run game, dominate at times, going for the big play once in a while, and letting that defensive front do their job. All right, we come to the next group of games, next couple of games, where we have Dallas versus the St. Louis Rams. Who did you pick in this game?
I picked St. Louis.
And why?
Because, on the offense, it was like, when I was seeing the offense, I was like, okay, St. Louis, quarterback, Dallas, running back, St. Louis, it was so hard to pick on offense, but the tipping factor for the St. Louis Rams was the defense. You got Robert Quinn with his new contract. You got Chris Long. That is a monstrous defensive line. And I think that, just with that little tipping force, I think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, I went with Dallas in this game because... whether it's Sean Hill or was it Austin Davis, quarterback, it doesn't look right. It just doesn't. I think that Tony Romo and DeMarco Murray and Dez Bryant do just enough to help Dallas win this game, and I think they got just enough on offense. On defense to be able to match anything that Sean Hill or Austin Davis throws at them. They pulled one out last week, against Tampa Bay, but I mean they had to claw and scratch for that one. They were thoroughly dominated by the Vikings in Week 1. Just not enough offense, in my opinion, for the Rams to beat the Dallas Cowboys in this game. So we go on to the next game, which fits Washington versus Philadelphia.
Deshaun Jackson's former team.
Oh yeah, so
especially in Philadelphia.
I'm going with Philly. I believe that Philadelphia is just too good. I do believe that Kirk Cousins will prove to be a better fit for Jay Gruden's system than RG3 is, and I'll get into that a little bit more later on in the let me talk to you section. But I just think Philadelphia is just too good. They came back against a very, I would say a decent, from a decent to pretty good Indianapolis Colts team on the road on Monday night. So, I look at Philadelphia Eagles defense, and I see holes there. They're not a dominant defense, but as fast as that offense can score, I mean, Shady McCoy and Nick Foles and Macklin and Cooper, I mean, and Ertz, and those guys. I mean, they're just that good. And so it's like watching, Madden when they play ball. So I just think it's too much offense for Washington to handle it, especially on the road. Who you think?
I concur. Washington. And
why?
I was just getting to that. Let me finish.
All right.
I picked. I mean, we already got to that, but you keep on saying you think that Kirk Cousins is a better fit. I mean, something must have happened. I think he got it planted in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I think Alfred Morris. I think he can turn it around. I think when you got Deshaun Jackson, I think that's always a good fit.
You think there's going to be motivation for him in
Probably.
that game?
Knowing him, yeah. But we'll have to see if he's game ready because he also got nicked up.
Yeah, he did.
But with Ryan Kerrigan,
mm-hmm.
and I mean, I think he doesn't get a lot of praise as he should.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Ryan Orakpo, he's not. He's good. He's still really good.
He's kind of disappeared the past season.
Yeah, but I still think that they can do a very good job.
All right. Okay. So now we come to the next game, which pits the Texans against the Giants of New York. And who do you go with?
I am going with... Could you please bring it up? I actually kind of forgot. Houston. I'll have to start writing down my picks. I have a short-term memory loss.
All right. Well, can you give us a little short-term, answer to why you think the Texans are going to beat the Giants?
Yeah, I'm picking Houston because I think with J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, I think, and also with their back line. Even though with Oakland, I want to say Oakland, but that was last game against Week 1. Week 1, it had a little bit of trouble, but I still think that they can regroup. I think with J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, that's going to cause.
Jadeveon Clowney is out, so remember meniscus tear.
Oh.
So yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, how could I forget? He's out for the season.
No, he's not out for the season.
4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to lose my mind. But even you got Andre Johnson, You got
Arian Foster.
Arian Foster.
You want me to get some cue cards? Okay, go ahead.
Well, you just mentioned you're basically I'm gonna stop embarrassing myself. I'm just gonna leave
on this
there.
particular pick.
I'm just gonna leave it there.
I'm going with the Giants because I believe the Giants are due. I just think the Giants are due. I don't think that Tom Coughlin is going to lose 3 games in a row. Yes, the Texans are 2-0 so far this season, but I think the Giants are due. I think that the New York Giants receivers at some point in time will just not drop the ball like that. Okay, they'll just do that. You know.
Okay, Eli, we'll give you a break this time. But next time we're gonna keep on dropping the ball.
I just think they're due. I think their defense isn't as bad as the outcome of the games dictate. That last game between that pitted them against the Cardinals this past week that they lost, that was a mistake, penalty flag riddled game. For all intents and purposes, the New York Giants could have won that game easily had it not been for the drop balls and had it not been for all the penalty flags that kept the Cardinals' drives alive at times when the New York Giants had pretty much shut them down. So I just think the Giants are due, and I think the Texans. I'm not convinced that the Texans are as good as their record says they are. That's just my take. So we go on to the next group of games here. And we have on tap first, Minnesota versus the New Orleans Saints. Well, let's just get this out of the way. All right, New Orleans Saints win this game because, number one, it's in New Orleans. They lost a heartbreaker to the Cleveland Browns last week. The Saints did. And the Saints don't look nearly as explosive this year as they have in times past. But Minnesota just has too big of a cloud of scandal hanging over it right now. They just do. It isn't just the fact that Adrian Peterson, the great player, is not on the field for the Vikings. It is that it is a demoralizing reason as to why Adrian Peterson is not on the field. It's not due to injury. It's not due to anything other than the child abuse allegations that have been leveled against him. So, you can overcome injury. You can rally around the flag. And I was wrong last week when I thought that the Ravens would lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers for the very same reason, because the cloud of scandal was too heavy over their head. I mean, teams can pull it together, but the Ravens had a great quarterback, and the Ravens had a veteran-laden defense. The Ravens have won the Super Bowl recently in recent times, and they have enough. And they have John Harbaugh, who is a Super Bowl winning coach. So they had all those things going for them when they played against the Pittsburgh Steelers. What does Minnesota have? An iffy quarterback in Matt Castle, a rookie and a former first round draft pick who's considered a bust by some, backing him up. A defense that shows flashes, signs of being okay.
A third string running back.
Yeah.
That used to be a fullback.
And so it's just too much, in my opinion, for Minnesota to overcome. They don't have the great talent. Yeah, they have Kadero Patterson, but your receiver is only as good as the guy throwing him the ball. Okay, so I just picked New Orleans for this. Shall we continue to the next game?
Please.
Okay. So next game pits Tennessee versus the Cincinnati Bengals, and you picked the Bengals. Why?
Andy Dalton. He's injured. Ben Jarvis, Yeah.
Giovanni Bernard.
Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah.
The guy
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, that guy.
The guy that I kept on talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Johnson. Carlos Dunlap. That's the guy that I was thinking of. Vontaze Burfict. Ray Maluga. What else is there to say?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got
Keith Rivers.
Oh yeah, but I think there's also another guy.
Who? Geno Atkins? Are we forgetting?
No.
Geno
I'm
Atkins?
talking about other linebacker. There was another linebacker.
Yeah, the name escapes me, eludes me at this time, but yeah, they have a pretty good defense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with Geno Atkins, I think he was an All-Pro, if not an All-Pro, Pro Bowler.
At one point, the season before last, he got injured last season.
Yeah. But also Carlos Dunlap, he was balling last game.
Yeah.
He was doing great. I mean, he looked like the most athletic player on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Vontaze Burfict, the reigning tackle champion.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Maluga, the captain of the defense.
Yeah.
He's also, I think, a guy under the radar. But he's still a very good guy to hold in that defense into place. You got Andy Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
Even though sometimes, he had a little bit of a sophomore slump, but still Andy Dalton.
He looks good this year. Andy Dalton looks good. He does.
Giovanni Bernard, he is,
the real deal.
Yes. It looks like he's not, sometimes it looks like normal that he's doing all these incredible stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible things, yeah. I went with the Bengals as well. I think that even in lieu of, in the absence, of possible absence of A.J. Green, Mohamed Sanu filled in wonderfully. They're stacked at tight end. Their offensive line does a great job of blocking. As I said before, Andy Dalton has played good football. And their running game with Giovanni Bernard has been excellent. Their defense, you can't find too many weak points on that defense. Defensive line is good. They have great linebackers. They have a very good defensive secondary. They built a very good defense, one of the best in NFL. And they're at home against Tennessee. I just don't think Tennessee has enough. I don't think Jake Locker, I think they're looking at Jake Locker now as not being the answer. I think they're giving him this year to prove, and I think that Wizenant has him a very short leash this season. So I don't think that he may not get to prove throughout the season that he's the quarterback of the future for the Tennessee Titans. Give this to the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think Cincinnati might win big in this game. All right? So now we go to the next couple of games, which fits the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns. I went with the Browns in this game. And after what I saw against the New Orleans Saints, and the Browns collectively, have played probably some of the best 6 quarters of football of any team in the NFL. That second half against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 1, they lost the game, but they played a wonderful second half. And then that game against the New Orleans Saints last week, they limited Drew Brees' ability to throw downfield. They played against the run, decently, kept themselves in the game well enough. Brian Hoyer didn't make any big mistakes in that game, kept them in the game. Their running game got on track last week. So I think that when I look at the Cleveland Browns, I see a team who has a good defense, and even though you don't have Josh Gordon there now, you do have Miles Austin, who played a wonderful game last week against the Saints. I think they have enough to beat the Baltimore Ravens at home on Sunday. This isn't the same NFC North that it once was. I think the talent level in this division is much closer than it has ever. It's closer than it has been in a very long time. So I think the Cleveland Browns win this one in a close one against the Ravens. Who do you think?
I've been waiting this for a long time to do. Baltimore! Even with Ray Rice gone, Justin Ford said he did a good job filling in for him. But you still got Bernard Pierce, Joe Flacco and Torrey Smith, and Owen Daniels, a big surprise.
Yeah, Owen Daniels, yeah.
And Dennis Pitta. Owen Daniels and Dennis Pitta, that's a very good combination.
Yeah.
I think that they did a good enough job. I think with Terrell Suggs, Haloti Ngata, Parnell McPhee, I think that's a good. They got Ladarius Love back. They got Jimmy Smith.
Yeah.
And Matty Elam, I really think that they can do it today.
Yeah. Sunday. Yeah.
I really think that they can do it, and I think that they have the talent in them and the ability in them to do it.
Yeah, this could go either way. I just give Cleveland a slight edge. They're at home, and I think overall they're playing better football than the Ravens are right now. Now we come to Green Bay and Detroit. In Detroit, and who are we going with?
Green Bay.
Oh boy, you're going with Green Bay, the Packers. All right, discount double check. All right. So why are you picking the Packers?
I am picking the Packers because you've got Aaron Rodgers, an MVP. Even though he's leveled out, he's still.
Yeah, these are the same. Yeah. This is the same arguments when we were doing the Eddie and Easy show for Seattle against the Green Bay Packers. You gave the edge at quarterback to Russell Wilson, and you basically dogged Aaron Rodgers. So I want to see how you make up for this. Oh, I love you now, Aaron. I love you, Aaron. All right, go ahead. Where are we at with this?
You got Jared Boykin.
Good.
You've got I think that their offensive line, even though they can be a little bit shady, they can be shady.
Oh,
they can be shady.
Man.
They're shady.
Let me put it this way: if the Green Bay Packers, offensive line was a building, they would be condemned. Okay. But go right ahead.
Okay, let's just get past the offense.
Yeah, offensive line, yes.
All right, let's go to the defense. That is the much fighter side. You've got Julius Peppers. You got Clay Matthews. That's a very good 1-2 combo. You got Jamal Williams. Even though he's not like the best, but he's still good. I still think that with Detroit, even though they got Megatron, I'm gonna give the offensive side to the advantage to Detroit, but I'm gonna give it to a slight edge to defense, and I'm gonna give it to Green Bay.
I'm glad you said, well, let's just skip past the Green Bay Packers offensive line. And you know why I'm glad you said that? Because that's basically what defensive lines have been doing. They've just been skipping past the Green Bay Packers offensive line. And you're talking about the Detroit Lions defensive line against that line at home in the Dome? No, I see Detroit winning this one. And look, Green Bay barely, they were a screwed up timeout call away from going into overtime against the Jets. And the Jets, for the most part, dominated them the whole game. I mean, it is mind-boggling to me how this is the same Green Bay Packers team that has consistently won NFC North division title after division title. They look like a shadow of themselves. Their defense looked like they practically have no bite. I mean, think about it. Including that lad, that touchdown that was declared, not a touchdown because, a timeout was called. But by the way, head coaches are the only ones who can call a timeout. So they're 31 points that they allowed the New York Jets with Geno Smith at quarterback to score against them. That defense just doesn't have it anymore. And as much as it pains me to say this, when I look at Julius Peppers, I think I'm looking at a ghost. I'm looking at someone who looks like a shadow of his former self. He doesn't seem like he has the same burst or acceleration towards the quarterback. He's not as disruptive as he's been throughout his career. I just see Detroit winning this game. I think their defense, especially the defensive line, is too good for the Packers' offensive line. And I think that Megatron and Golden Tate and the combination of Joyce Bell and Reggie Bush in that backfield is just enough for Green Bay to win this game at home. Now we go to Indianapolis versus Jacksonville, the Jaguars versus the Colts. And I picked the Colts. Of course I picked the Colts. Because even though the Colts are 0-2, they are playing better football than Jacksonville is. I think the Colts' biggest problem this season thus far is that they haven't been able to generate much of a pass rush. Robert Mathis is out for the season. So their big pass rush guy, the guy who gets after the quarterback for them, is gone. It's hard to replace someone like that when you lose him. So we see there's a big hole in that defense as a result. But I think that they're good enough, even on the road, to beat a Jacksonville Jaguar team who at times look good this season, but hasn't been able to put a full game together, and doesn't at this particular time in Gus Bradley's coaching career, they don't have enough talent to overcome their mistakes yet. When you have a lot of talent, Green Bay showed if you have enough talent on offense, they were able to overcome some of the mistakes they were making early in the game because they had the talent to overcome those mistakes. Jacksonville doesn't have the talent to overcome their mistakes as of yet. So I give this game to the Colts. Who do you go with?
Colts.
All right. And so what are we going to just say about the Colts? Good luck. All right.
All right, let's move on.
Move on. All right, so the next games we have is the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders against the New England Patriots. Patriots. Patriots.
Want to move on?
No, I want to talk about this game a little bit. Derek Carr did an okay job last week. I think that Bill Belichick over his career has eaten rookie quarterbacks alive. So all I can say is bon appetit. All right, so now we come to San Francisco versus the Cardinals right now. Okay, so we have the 49ers against the Cardinals, and you went with who?
I'm going San Francisco.
Okay, so we both went with San Francisco here. Why are you going? I know why I am, but why are you going with San Francisco
It
here?
seems that there's a lot of teams right now, like in this 3-game stretch where it seems like, okay, let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
But
not this one. I think this is going to be a good one.
Even with the Ray McDonald domestic violence, but they have a stellar defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they might have dropped off like a degree or two, but I mean, you cannot go wrong with Patrick Willis nor Ahmad Brooks.
Yeah, but they're big chunks, and those chunks were revealed last week against the Bears. You're missing Navarro Bowman, who at people were saying last season there were times where he was the best linebacker on the 49ers team. That included better than Patrick Willis, playing better football than Patrick Willis. And you don't have Alden Smith, who I mean, just a couple of seasons ago, 19 sacks. It's hard to replace it, just like Indianapolis is finding out. It's hard to replace a good pass rusher, you know. But I'm picking the 49ers because, you know, the Cardinals are going with a young quarterback, Drew Skelton, who looked okay at times against the Giants, but not very good, you know. But you got to give the edge to San Francisco. I think they're going to be ticked off because they lost to the Bears last week at home. The opening ceremony of their stadium, their new stadium. I mean, you know, it had all the Hall of Famers there, all the 49 Hall of Famers there. Okay, come on, we're going to win this thing. And they were up 17-0.
That must have been extremely humiliating.
Yeah, it was. I'm guessing it was a painful, you know, experience for them. But now we come to the crown jewel of games. This is the crown jewel of games. Denver versus the Seattle Seahawks. Who are you going with?
This was so hard. I was this close to calling it a tie, but I finally came up to the decision of Denver. And the reason is, you know how Peyton Manning can hold a grudge?
Yeah.
You know how Peyton Manning can hold a grudge?
Yeah.
Especially with a Super Bowl that, I mean, from last year, it was like a Cinderella story for the Seahawks. I mean, well, draft picks. You got Richard Sherman, who was, I think it was like a fifth round pick.
Yeah.
He took, from the last play, he clinched the game for the Seattle Seahawks. A second round pick, and he's like 5'11".
Well, Russell Wilson, I believe, the third round pick.
Oh, yeah, 79. And a running back that his career was basically, from what many thought, his career was over. I mean, from that to winning the Super Bowl, and you got all these stats from Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning's gonna get ticked. Okay. And you got got DeMarcus Ware, you got Aqib Talib, and you got Emmanuel Sanders. You already got Demaryius Thomas, and you got Julius Thomas. Even though Peyton Manning kind of chewed him out, he's still a very good tight end. Yeah,
one of the best in the game right now, I would say.
Even when you know from, those are still the weapons that you win games with.
Yeah, well, too bad for Broncos that this rematch is taking place in Seattle. I just don't see Seattle losing this game against the Broncos. The Broncos, for all of their weapons, those first two games, they did not have Wes Welker. Okay, and because of the new sentencing guidelines, when it comes to PDs, he's back now. Wes Welker he's activated now. So Wes Welker is back. Now, how well he gets back into the sync and the rhythm of the game remains to be seen, but you can tell in those first two games that Peyton Manning missed him. And because they didn't have that guy in the slot, Wes Welker, who catches those passes underneath and makes those safeties have to play up, and to where he can hit them deep with Demaryius Thomas and now Emmanuel Sanders. I think that it's just going to be too much 12th man for the Denver Broncos to win this game. I don't think they'll get beat like a drum like they did in the Super Bowl. But I think that the Seattle Seahawks win this game.
We actually had to watch another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
To win that Super Bowl.
So I think that the Seattle Seahawks want to redeem the loss against San Diego. And I think that the bigger the game, the better Seattle usually plays against their opponents. So I'm picking Seattle in this game. All right, so now we have Kansas City versus Miami. And I went with Kansas City. Kansas City, here we come. So we got Kansas City. I'm picking Kansas City over Miami because even though Jamal Charles is out of the game, that running back, that number 34 Lewis, who replaced him, I think I think he adds another dimension to this offense. I think he's a bigger and almost as fast, just as fast, almost as fast version of Jamal Charles. Watching him in that game against the Broncos last week, he came in and he played excellently. I think Kansas City, even though they don't have Derek Johnson on the defensive side of the ball, and they don't have Jamal Charles on the offensive side of the ball, I'm still not convinced that Ryan Tannehill is a quarterback, is an NFL quarterback. Remember, he came across that position later on in his college career, and it remains to be seen. I think he's a great athlete, but it remains to be seen for me that he's an NFL quarterback. And this is still, as I said before, the NFL is still a quarterback-driven league. And I think that Alex Smith, for all the people who want to diss him, he's an NFL quarterback. And I think that Kansas City, even on the road, wins this against Miami. Who you pick?
I pick Kansas City.
Yeah.
For the exact same reasons, even though you lost Derek Johnson, you still got Tamba Holly, and you got, is Justin Houston back?
Yeah, I believe so.
And you got Justin Houston. But, from that side, you still got Alex Smith, and you got Dwayne Bowe, and Tony Moriarty, and Lewis, is that his name?
Yeah, Lewis, the running back for the Chiefs who came in relief of Jamal Charles. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's going to be also a good addition to it.
All right, so now we have the next game on, for you. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Carolina Panthers. Who you go with?
I am going with Carolina.
Yeah.
Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh boy, isn't he? Yeah. I'll be honest. Florida State is my college team of choice. I love me some Florida State. I was a Bobby Bowden fan from way back when, and just love the Florida State, and still love the Florida State Seminoles. I didn't think, I'll confess, I didn't think Kelvin Benjamin would be as good as he is in the NFL. He has proven to be, how the Panthers had question mark at wide receiver? Well, a lot of those questions have been answered with Kelvin Benjamin.
And you also got Cam Newton. You got Jonathan Stewart. If you watch that game, he refused to go down.
He ran ugly.
I mean,
he ran ugly.
Oh man, it was so beautiful to see. I mean, it was like old school football that he played.
Just bam, bam, bam. Just would not go down. He played a good game.
You got the power with Jonathan Stewart. Then you got the speed with D'Angelo Williams. And you got Cam Newton, and you got Calvin Benjamin, and you got Greg Olsen, and you got
Brian LaFell,
and you got Brandon LaFell.
Excuse me, Brandon LaFell.
And you got their defense with Luke Kuechly.
Yeah, Luke Kuechly, the reigning defensive player of the year. So I think Carolina. Don't get me wrong, Pittsburgh has shown that they can still play, but looking at that game last week against the Ravens, at times their offense looked lost. If you have a good enough defense to kind of, tamp down on the run, then you can key off on that passing game all day if you want. And I think that the Carolina Panthers have a good enough defense to be able to neutralize that running attack of the Pittsburgh Steelers and come away with the win. I just think that Pittsburgh at this stage in the game, they're rebuilding on defense, and there's still some holes there that can be exploited. And I think that Carolina has enough weapons to exploit those weaknesses in the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. All right, so now we go to the next game, which pits the Chicago Bears against the New York Jets. Yeah, of course. I'm going with the Bears. All right, I'm going with the Bears. Now, here's an unsettling statistic, though. You have the Bears going on the road against the Jets, and they are only averaging 66 yards rushing for the season. I think it's the lowest in the NFL right now. 66 yards rushing on the season. They're going up against the New York Jets, who are number one against the rush. They've only allowed 105 yards rushing on the season, the whole season so far. So that's a bit unsettling. But I don't think that Rex Ryan's defense has an answer to Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, Santonio Holmes, former Jet, Martellus Bennett, and Matt Forte. I think there are too many weapons that the Bears have on offense that the Jets won't be able to counter that. I think the offensive line, has shown that they can neutralize a quality front seven like they did on the road against San Francisco. I think that test for the offensive line to be able to block, where Jay Cutler was only sacked once, and his pocket was clean for most of that game against the 49ers. I think they'll duplicate that performance against the Jets. I think that the Chicago defense is coming to his own now. Willie Young, to me, has played much better ball than Jared Allen even. He has leads the team with 3 sacks. Played a wonderful game against the 49ers last week against that very mobile quarterback, Colin Kaepernick. And I think that their defensive line as a whole is starting to gel, even with the young guys. You got Will Sutton, Ego Ferguson, and these guys who are playing wonderful ball. Linebackers are starting to step it up. Bostic is starting to play better ball. McClellan looks like he might, be starting to, get his legs under him. Lance Briggs played a better game this game than he did in week 1. And then you have the defensive backfield with Kyle Fuller, who, by the way, a rookie. He won the Defensive Player of the Week award for the NFC this past week. 2 interceptions. And, he played like a veteran. Now, they've lost Charles Tillman for the season. That's going to be a big blow. But at least they know they got a guy in Kyle Fuller who can play. So I picked the Bears.
I picked the Bears also for those exact same reasons. You summed it up very well. Congratulations.
Well, when it comes to the Bears, I gotta, All right, so now we're done with our picks. That was the Monday night game, but the Jets between the Bears. And so now we come to the portion of our program called Let Me Talk to You. So I'm letting you go first, Easy. Who do you want to talk to?
I want to talk to Peyton Manning. Well, it was pretty disappointing at the end of the 2013 season.
Mm-hmm.
You got Wes Welker back, one of your favorite toys.
Mm-hmm.
You got Emmanuel Sanders, also a nice pickup. Even though you lost No Sean Marino, you still got the weapons. Even with the defense that you got, you can carry this team. And also, you're playing against the Seattle Seahawks. You get ticked. You get ticked off. So you can take it out on them. I'm done.
All right. So now I come to, the guy I want to talk to. Let me talk to you. Kirk Cousins, Washington Skins. Let me talk to you, Kirk. Time for you to climb out of the shadow. What shadow? The shadow of RG3. I had said earlier in this program that I think you are a better fit for the Jay Gruden offense than even RG3 is. Last week you came in and you played wonderfully. Now you're going to have to up your performance against the Philadelphia Eagles now on the road. You're going to really have to be able to play lights out there, because that Philadelphia Eagle offense likes to match people point for point. So you're going to have to air it out, I think, because I think the Eagles are going to score some points against you. I picked them to win, but that doesn't mean I'm not rooting for you, Kirk. So get in there, do what you know you're capable of, and show not only the Washington team, but show the other teams in the NFL who might be looking for a quarterback next year that you can do the job. Take care of business, Kirk. That does it for me as far as talking to Kirk. Now, that does it for us on the Eddie and Easy Show. To learn more about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, visit these pages. Thank you for stopping by. And that is the Eddie and Easy Show. I'm Eddie.
I'm Easy.
And we say goodbye.